He's a rank and file attorney. I've never heard of him before. As soon as I found out about him and what he did, I said, take action. And today I said, let's have the AG have a fuller look at this.
How can you prevent this from happening again, Governor?
It's a great question. We have 13,000 employees. It's always a challenge to make sure that you hold everybody accountable. I think part of it is to take swift action, hold people accountable, as we're doing here. Let folks go right away, get the AG looking at it, so other people say, this isn't okay. If it's not okay to be incompetent. It's not okay to have this sort of misconduct. We do the best we can to hire the best people, hold them accountable, and make an example of folks who don't meet our standards.
Do you think this will be sorted out in time for the budget process? I mean, that's $24 million. I don't know how that impacts the General Assembly.
Yes, I don't know. If this goes to appeal, that could easily take many months. It could be fixed in this budget, it could be fixed in the next budget. So we'll work with the General Assembly to try to sort it all out over a period of time.
To a lot of people, this kind of looks like the latest blunder under the Human Services umbrella from ZHIP to everything else. What does this do to, you think, people's perception of these agencies?
A lot of good work happens in these agencies. We have a record number of kids in foster care. The team spent all weekend dealing with a cyber attack successfully. So many good things are happening, but these things happen and they're unfortunate and they won't be tolerated. I think you can't prevent mistakes. This was a lawyer who was a relatively junior lawyer there, and he did everything wrong, and that's inexcusable. And I'm angry, and he's lost his job, and he may be prosecuted. So you can't prevent mistakes. What you can do is hold folks accountable and do your very best to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Are you considering replacing Secretary Bean, and if not, why not?
No, I am not. He hasn't done anything wrong. As soon as he found out, he acted swiftly. As I said before, I have high standards. I'm going to hold him to the same high standards as anyone else. He is acting swiftly. He got the appeal together quickly. And so at this point, he has my full support.
How likely do you think criminal charges would be against him?
That I don't know. That's a question for the AG. What I have said is, we're going to go, I want this fully investigated. We're not going to stop till we get to the bottom of it. And the AG, that's a better question for the AG.
Secretary Bean said today that they haven't been able to ask him yet why he deleted those emails, why he didn't tell anybody. And they said they haven't been able to ask him that yet because there was a hearing scheduled, but he resigned before the hearing. Was he asked to resign before he was given an opportunity to answer those questions?
Those sort of in-the-weeds details are better directed to Secretary Bean.
When did you first hear about this problem, and how did it first come to your attention?
Last week, I would say mid-last week, Secretary Bean called me and said that it had just come to his attention. And I said, hurry up and file the appeal, do everything you can to make up for lost time and see if we can get this appeal filed and hold these folks accountable to the fullest extent possible.
So both you and Secretary Bean first became aware of it last week?
You'd have to ask him precisely when he became aware of it, but he called me last week.
And I think one of the things that sticks out in my mind, I mean, you yourself said Mr. Hajian is a lower-level attorney. Why was he solely responsible for keeping tabs on a multi-million-dollar lawsuit?
Right, so that's the question we have to get to the bottom of, and that's why his supervisor is also on leave. So my primary objective is let's see if we can file the appeal. Let's protect the taxpayers. Then let's get to the bottom of this, right? So he's lost his job, his supervisor's on leave, there's going to be a full investigation, and we're going to get answers to all these questions.
If the appeal is unsuccessful, do you have any idea as to when that $24 million bill is going to come due?
That's hard to say. It depends when we find out about the appeal. Do we appeal it again? Could we make this up over one budget cycle or two budget cycles? So it's a little bit fluid.
Mr. Hajian worked for the General Assembly before EOHHS. Do you know if the Assembly played any role in his current role with EOHHS?
I have no idea. I had never heard his name until last week, so I don't know.
What do you say to some people, there have been musings on social media that Mr. Hajian was politically protected What do you say to those?
I'm certainly not protecting him. He has lost his job, and I've referred him to the Attorney General to be investigated, so not on my watch.
Governor, do you think there needs to be more oversight as to who handles these cases, especially ones with millions and millions of dollars of money?
You know, this is a question of management. This is a problem in every big organization, and we just have to constantly do a better job of managing and holding people accountable. You know, at the end of the day, we may not be successful because the judge may disagree with us. And that's a disagreement of law. And so the court may not agree with us, and we may pay the nursing homes $24 million. We can live with that. What we can't live with and what we won't stand for is incompetence and misconduct. Not here. And when we see it, we're going to take action, we're going to route it out, and we're going to do better.
Are you thinking of changing your plans at all for the week to deal with this? Any change in travel plans later in the week?
No change. I'm on it, I'm all over it, we're on it. So we're going to, we got the papers in on Friday, I'm in constant contact with the team. So, we're doing everything that we can and running the rest of government, and doing everything else that we do.
And can you just elaborate a little on what you want the Attorney General to look at with regard to Mr. Hazian and his conduct?
Yeah, so again, that's a better question for the AG, but as I understand it, this attorney had been practicing for some time without being in good standing with the bar. And that needs to be looked into. The details around that, talk to the AG.
How do you think the agency didn't know about that in particular?
This is about to be the subject of a pending investigation, but he didn't tell anyone. He lied.
Was there no background checks or anything?
That doesn't come up in a background check. People lie. People lie, it's inexcusable, and they have to be held accountable.
So no one was aware of the
Correct.
status?
As far as we know. Again, his supervisor's out on leave, so all of this is going to be investigated. I'm as anxious as you to get to the bottom of this. If I have answers, I'll give them to you. If I don't know, I don't know. So his supervisor's out on leave, that's going to be investigated. We're referring it to the AG. He'll get to the bottom of it. We're going to get to the bottom of it. In the meantime, we're going to process the appeal, or try to process the appeal, so we have a chance of prevailing and saving the state $24 million.
Is the supervisor still being paid while that person's on leave?
Is she on paid leave?
I believe it's paid administrative leave pending.
I think that's right. I think that we're following...
DOA would know.
Right, so DOA would know, but the state has settled long-term personnel procedures, and we are crossing every I and crossing every T and dotting every I to follow those procedures. And so the way to do it is they put out on leave while we do the investigation.
Again, Governor, people have questions. Again, the Auditor General saying the $100 million of cost overruns for you have now the potential for $24 or $26 million here. Again, what do you say to those critics that say, how can HHS be run better?
This has nothing to do with how they're run. So, as I said, there was incompetence. That is not okay, and they will be held accountable. If we owe $24 million, that's because a judge interpreted the law differently than the state interpreted the law. So I hope we will prevail, but that is this is a legal interpretation issue, not another issue.
Do you have any sense of the timing on the appeal?
I don't. Good?
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Mike,
Yes.
how long is she out of town for? Just Thursday?
I believe it's Thursday.